Hey, so it's been a while since my last video, and in the midst of this self-quarantining coronavirus nightmare, I decided I wanted to film a video, so I took to Twitter, asked you guys what you wanted to see me talk about. I got some cool responses, so I'm going to talk about a few of them, starting with a tweet from @DCMopey, who wants to know about the new Warriors, which sounds like a Nintendo console, but yeah, Marvel is coming out with a new team of new Warriors, which seems to consist of some old New Warriors who are just training this new group of 5 like underage kids who all have some interesting names and some interesting stories and all kind of suck. But we're gonna talk about them a little bit, specifically one character, Snowflake. So yeah, the new characters, who are they? There's 5 of them. There's Trailblazer, B Negative, Screen Time, Snowflake, and Safe Space. Yeah, those names right off the bat are kind of kind of yikes. Did a comic skater get a hold of the Marvel offices and start writing a comic book about all the snowflakes and safe spaces he hates? No, there's a deeper thing to the names. They're basically ironic. They're like taking back those names. It still sucks. They're still lazy and stupid names. But at least a comic skater isn't writing for Marvel. Anyway, the point that I want to get into here is that one of the characters, Snowflake, who is a twin to Safe Space, which in this promo art, they don't really look like twins, huh? They look like some friends of mine from the Ultimate Universe. But it has been said that Snowflake, this new character, is non-binary. And cool. Representation is great, but there is such thing as good and bad representation. And the issue here, it's not bad representation, I want to say, about Snowflake. It's just kind of representation, and there's some reasons why. The main reason is that for a long time, especially lately, after progressive movements or whatever, in the current political climate, corporate companies sure like to pander to the queer community, and it's fucking annoying. And Snowflake here sort of exemplifies that. Plenty of companies have done this shit before. Pixar just did it with their orc cop or whatever in Onward, who is gay or something. It sucks. It's just like an afterthought, basically. And that's a lot of the time companies do that. Disney actually does it a lot. They did it in the Beauty and the Beast live action remake. It's just like pandering because they want to foster this audience that is very vocal and loves things, but they don't actually want to show anything or give them actual good representation and put creators who can actually put work into making representation relatable and work well for people who actually can relate to that stuff. It's usually very corporate and very mandated, and that is the case here with Snowflake, or at least so it seems. And it's not just that they're non-binary, and it seems like they're not being given a lot of time to that non-binary thing. It's just all of these characters, the lot of them, they all just look like run-of-the-mill new Marvel characters that will be forgotten in like 2 months because no one will care. Remember Arrow? Remember Mosaic? Marvel just has this huge problem with getting new blood in, having them write a book, having it be received okay, and then, just giving them a new character and say, hey, make an entire book about this character that no one knows about. We're going to give them a solo ongoing, and then we're not going to tell you this, but we're going to cancel it after the first story arc because no one read it, because we put you up against impossible odds in a climate where, literally only Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, has succeeded in. It's so difficult for a character to thrive in an environment like this, where you're just throwing a bunch of shit at the wall and trying to see what sticks, but you're really not even caring. You're throwing the shit at the wall, and then you're walking out the door to go throw shit at a different wall, and then you check in on the other wall 6 months later, and you're surprised that the shit's gone. That's not how this works. You have to spend time, you have to put care into your characters that you're making. The reason why Kamala Khan Miss Marvel worked was because it was a little bit lightning in a bottle, but there was a very strong creative driving force behind that, and people responded to it. Also, it was one character who had a plan and was being handled really well. You could argue that characters like Mosaic and Era were also one character, but, you know, the problem is, like, you're throwing too much at the wall. Every once in a while, sure, give a new character a spotlight in their own book based on a solid creative team, but most of the time Marvel is releasing new characters like these left and right, either as new teams or new solo characters, and they're not given enough room to breathe, and because of that, they inevitably fail. So when it comes to a character like Snowflake, who is there clearly for mandated corporate representation for non-binary people, it's difficult when you can see the writing on the wall and you can tell that obviously this character is not going to be given the spotlight that they deserve, or not just they deserve because they're non-binary or whatever, but any character deserves. Like, a new character, if you're gonna push a new character, they need to have room to breathe. Like, you're gonna introduce 5 new characters all at once in a team book where there's already an existing team. How are these characters going to develop? You need a lot of time to have characters develop like this. I've been rewatching Legends of Tomorrow recently. The reason the characters in that show have time to develop is because when the team first forms, there's only like 1 or 2 characters that you've never met in the other shows that they spun out of before. The rest of them, you have an idea of who they are. And over time, they get to develop as a team. The point is that they're developing as a team. And when new characters are introduced in later seasons, you already have a baseline. You already know who these characters are. So the new characters, like 1 or 2 at a time, come in, have room to breathe. You're going to throw 5 characters in here and expect them to land and develop well? No, it's not going to happen. And that only gets more complicated when you throw in something like non-binary and you're clearly pushing that as a selling point, because obviously in a team book with this many characters, that plot point, that facet of Snowflake's character is not going to be given the time it needs to actually develop and actually be interesting. That's my main concern about this character. Aside from like corporate mandate or whatever, I'm all for representation. As a genderqueer bi person, I like representation. You know, it's cool to see. It's cool to see just from like a personal like relatability aspect, and it's also just refreshing to see from a story aspect. Whenever I watch a different dynamic play out on screen, or on screen, on comic, on page, on whatever, in media, it's refreshing because it's not the same shit we've been getting every year. It's possible that the character is fantastic, and maybe the entire book is about Snowflake somehow. It's probably a bad team book at that point. But anyway, we should probably move on, because I've talked about this for a while, to our next tweet, which comes from Theodore Reads. Ted, hey bud. He wanted to know about some comics to binge during these really spooky times of COVID-19, coronavirus, quarantine stuff. By the way, PSA, wash your hands. Stay inside and at home if you can. Don't go playing tonsil hockey with Jenny down the street, okay? Stay inside, and your parents won't die. Anyway, comics. 2 big ones that I really want to talk about, and then I have some honorable mentions. The first one, Jonathan Hickman currently is writing a massive X-Men epic that sprawls a bunch of titles, but his previous work at Marvel was writing a massive Avengers epic that sprawled several titles. And that's done now. That's cover to cover done. So basically, for those that don't know, Hickman's Avengers saga, it sort of starts in Fantastic Four, but you don't need that. It starts in Avengers and New Avengers by Jonathan Hickman. You can find it wherever. I'm sure it's on Marvel Unlimited at this point. You can buy it on Comixology. Read it. It's great. It basically tells the story of the entire multiverse collapsing. It crescendos in Secret Wars, which is one of the best and biggest Marvel events that's ever happened. And it's just a really well-written story that is absolutely 100% much better binged. I didn't read it week to week. The only part of it that I read week to week was starting from Time Runs Out, which is the tail end of Avengers and New Avengers. It was a crossover, like an actual crossover between those books. The books are 2 books in one, basically, where, you know, things that happen in Avengers will affect things that happen in New Avengers. So you kind of want to read them as companion pieces. I believe there are omnibuses out. If there's not, then there are reading lists online. I'll link one in the description. So yeah, it's a great read. New Avengers follows the Illuminati, who is a long dead now, I guess, Marvel concept of the smartest people in like big communities in the world come together and manipulate things. It's like Tony Stark, Reed Richards, Black Bolt, people like that. You probably know who the Illuminati is. Anyway, the New Avengers comes together where Black Panther calls the Illuminati back together because there are these things called incursions happening, which is two universes smashing together and basically destroying each other. Black Panther catches wind of that, and he's like, hey, the world can't know that this is happening because mass hysteria will happen and everyone will lose their goddamn minds. So, let's try to fix it. And the whole book is them trying to fix it, basically. Avengers is a lot of fun as well. There's a lot of new and cool concepts in that, and reading them together, like binging them together, is a really good time. And again, Secret Wars is great. Time Runs Out is also really fun. Infinity, forgot to mention Infinity. Infinity happens about halfway through Avengers and New Avengers. It was a crossover and another Marvel event. It's where Thanos' Black Order comes from. The guys that you saw in Avengers Infinity War, that's their first appearance, so you can read about them. There's some Inhumans shit going on in there too. Infinity is basically the start of Marvel replacing the mutants with Inhumans, which, take it or leave it, it was a cool event. So there's a whole bunch of stuff about the Builders. It's a really cool story, just the whole thing. Hickman knows how to craft a long-running epic, and I use that in the literary sense, not the epic sense. But it's a really cool story that spans, like, I think upwards of like 60 some odd issues, so it is very bingeable. So yeah, check that out. Speaking of epics though, I have another one, my other main suggestion, still keeping in Marvel. I have a couple DC recommends and an indie recommend. But Jason Aaron, another writer who is slightly similar to Hickman, but not really, a different flavor. He just wrapped up last year, maybe early this year, I don't remember. He just wrapped up his like 7-8 year Thor run, which started with Thor God of Thunder and ended with War of the Realms. And it went through, started with Thor, he was unworthy, the Odinson, Jane Foster Thor, all of that shit. It went through all of that. It is such a good book. Just any Jason Aaron Thor book is so good. It's so steeped in mythology. Not like actual Norse mythology, because Marvel's Norse mythology is all over the place at this point, but just, Jason Aaron, I've talked about him before and his ability to mythologize things, but he is expert at it. He is fantastic at this shit, so Thor is like a perfect fit for him. And his Thor one takes you all over the place. Like I said, like you start with just Thor, God of Thunder, which has some of the best Thor stories in it, and then he becomes unworthy in Original Sin, which leads into Jane Foster being Thor, which was the status quo for a really long time. And then you also have things like Unworthy Thor, which is a really fun book that plays with Secret Wars and the Ultimate Universe a little bit, so sort of tying into Hickman's Avengers. The character development and, again, the mythology of it is just so great to read and watch, and again, it's done. It's the reason I'm recommending these two specific titles is because they are finished, so they're super bingeable. Like, you can just sit down and really get into this shit, and it's super ideal. Those two books, go read them, they're great. A couple honorable mentions. I don't know if I recommend this one myself, because a lot of it isn't great. I'm just curious, if any of you haven't read Tom King's Batman, which is 86 issues long, 85 issues long, something like that. He's technically not done. They shoved him onto a different book because they didn't like what he was doing, which is fair. It's very long, but it is super meandering, and a lot of it is great. A lot of it is terrible, but I feel like a lot of the reason it's terrible, the parts that are bad are because Tom King doesn't really know how to write for an issue. He seems to know more how to write for a trade. So that being said, like reading it week to week like I did, I followed that book from issue 1 to issue hell. It was kind of very bad to read when you read an entire issue and it has nothing to do with the current ongoing plot and that fucking Nightmares arc, which lasted 70 years. and most of it was not. If you haven't read Tom King's Batman, read it all and let me know what you think. Come back in like a week and let me know what you think, because I'm curious if it gets better in a bingeable format. But I won't leave you high and dry. If you do want an actual Batman recommendation, I'm sure most people have read this book at this point, but Scott Snyder's 52-issue run of Batman from the New 52 is very good to binge. That was one of the first, I think it was the first DC book that I just sat down and binged. And I love it. It's a great time. Court of the Owls is great. I'm sure you've read Court of the Owls or I've heard people talk about it. I really enjoyed Zero Year. Not a lot of people did. Similarly, I really enjoyed Super Heavy, which is when Jim Gordon was Batman in the DCU period briefly. A lot of people don't like that either, but I really did. You know, there's a lot of cool stuff in that. There's a lot of very Scott Snyder stuff. I can't really recommend anything past that. I didn't really like All-Star Batman. Batman Last Night on Earth is fun, but it's short. It's like 3 issues. 3 oversized issues, but it's not super bingeable. You can like read it in like 2 hours probably. But New 52 Batman, Scott Snyder's New 52 Batman is a lot of fun. So yeah, check that out. And lastly, the indie recommend that I mentioned is an indie book that I read a long time ago. I don't read a lot of indie books purely because there's so much Marvel and DC shit that comes out that I don't really have a lot of time for it or that much interest. It takes a lot for me to get into an indie book. But there is one that I read way back when called Alex and Ada that I really enjoyed. It's classic future times where we have androids, android kind of helper people, and some of them, are sentient now and want rights. And the story kind of, that stuff plays out in the background while this guy who recently broke up with his girlfriend was, I think, gifted an android helper and slowly starts to fall in love with her because of heartbreak and everything. And then he flips the switch on her and she becomes sentient, and then they fall in love, and it's nice. If you play Detroit Become Human, very similar themes. It's a lot of fun. I think it's like 4 volumes. Quick read, very nice, but again, good binge thing, and it's another like start to finish, just closed book thing. That is something that you won't get from the Marvel and DC books that I've recommended, is because of the nature of those. They will like sort of conclude in their own right, but obviously, you know, Thor went on to become the Herald of Galactus. There's a completely different Avengers team now. The Illuminati is like gone. Secret Wars basically didn't happen. Tom King's Batman is currently being shoved under a rug, in which, by the way, quick aside about that, Tynan's Batman, the current Batman, is fucking phenomenal. It's so, we're like 3 issues in and I'm already sold on the whole run. It's really good. I said the same thing about Tom King's run when it first started though, so I will be careful, but Tynan, I trust him. So anyway, but I also did trust Tom King. I don't know what to believe. The point is, Alex and Ada is a good start to finish thing. It's an indie book, so like it doesn't have to serve any larger masters telling it to continue forever because it sold well. I don't even know if it did sell well, but maybe it can now in this very small YouTube video. Read Alex and Ada and the other books I mentioned. Anyway, next tweet. So this next one comes from @KickAHippo, which, fair enough. Why is Wolverine such a weebo is how he opens it. And then he talks more about that. Basically, the question is, why is Wolverine so intertwined with the Nihon? Honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not the guy to ask. Why did I pick this question for the video? Because I'm curious too. I'm sure some of you know why Wolverine is so obsessed with Japan and he's so like intertwined with that. It makes sense from like a character perspective to me. I've always just like known that Wolverine had like a thing for Japan, spent a lot of time in Japan, has a lot of roots in Japan. I will say it makes sense because for someone who's been around for as long as Wolverine has been around, just like in canon, like how old this guy is, you would probably end up in lots of different places around the world. I imagine if I had to guess, he ended up in Japan because he was fighting some war, and he just was there, because a lot of wars involve Japan around Wolverine's time. But yeah, like Wolverine, it doesn't really have like a place to call home most of the time. Usually it's like sometimes it's Canada, sometimes he pals around in Madripoor, sometimes he goes to Japan. Right now it's Krakoa. Wolverine's just kind of a worldly guy. And I don't know, maybe Japan is where you go when you're a worldly guy. Just adds some depth to his character, I guess. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's canon reasons to do it, but like from a writing standpoint, it is cool to see, like, something like this attached to a character like that. It's sort of a dissonance, you know? You see Wolverine in a kimono and you're like, interesting. There's something there. It's just the samurai aspect of his character is interesting. Also, now that I think about it, maybe Wolverine just likes islands. He's on Krakoa right now. Maybe he just likes living on small islands filled with xenophobic people. So our last tweet comes from @Tyler@the_Axis, who, if you don't know Tyler from the Imaginary Axis, check him out. He's great. I'm sure you know who he is. He makes very good and fun videos. Anyway, he came and exposed something dark and sinister about SpongeBob SquarePants. I'm gonna read it in my best Tyler impression. Here we go. In SpongeBob episode 62A, SpongeBob and Squidward buy Mr. Krabs a new mattress because he hasn't been sleeping well, unintentionally throwing away all the money he had hidden in his old mattress in the process. But in every other episode, Mr. Krabs is shown to sleep in a hammock. This is the kind of blatant disregard and disrespect for continuity that I expect from the likes of Marvel and DC. But SpongeBob? I thought SpongeBob was sacred. And they fucking ruined it. Alright, that's all from me. I've talked long enough. Hopefully there was something interesting in this video. Go read some comics. Or play a game. Animal Crossing comes out tomorrow at the time I'm recording this. While you're watching this, I'm probably playing Animal Crossing. Thank you for watching. Watch my videos in this quarantine time. Again, I want to say, please be careful. Please wash your hands. Please don't be stupid. Don't go to big gatherings. Don't do anything where you could potentially pass on a life-threatening disease. Just make a sacrifice. And I'm not, like, obviously, there are people, I'm very fortunate to where I already work from home, so this, like, self-quarantining is a thing that I'm able to do very easily. But there are people who, you know, like, in the service industry or who work retail, whose work hasn't, like, forcefully made them go home and they need the money, so they have to go to work. And that sucks. Like, companies should, in this time, give some paid time off. It's just not the reality we live in, which sucks. But yeah, so just be safe, be smart, especially be smart, and stay home as much as you can. I feel for anyone that is having some monetary issues during this time, because it's tough out there. I'm hoping that either your state or if you're renting, your rental company, whatever, is giving you a break on this. I know the IRS pushed back taxes a couple months, which is great. That helps me out a lot. Yeah, I hate to end this video on kind of like a weird mellow note, but it's important. Like, this is a deal. It's a time that we're living in. We're living in a history book right now. So let's not make the last few paragraphs of that chapter a sad last few paragraphs. Let's be smart about this, okay? Cool. Anyway, it's getting hot in Texas, so I have to turn these studio lights off and kick the fan back on before I melt. Thank you for watching. Watch more of my videos, like I said. Bye-bye!